Hello, my great and wonderful people. We welcome you all once again to our today's episode of this program. Now, we, the Nation Voice, the voice will reveal the secrets on the government and the politician that they said the cover. And today we get these videos for our hand we want quickly review to understand on the things when it be say it still they go on for inside Nigeria and also the way when it be say people still they react all over Africa concerning the things when it be say China and even the whites they do to black. And before we go properly to the details of all this, in case today not the first time when it be say they hear about us on the channel be this, we say you are highly welcome. I beg do us a favor now. You see that red subscribe button, press and the small bell when they near press them as well so that anytime we upload a video again like this, you know what they suffer to look for, it will only come to you like a message. Our prayer always be said. They say we want to be said to the supporters for the channel. Now they say we want God with the same people when we support you for everything when it good when you put your hands to do. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, my people, may we go straight to the details of this news.
Hello friends, I saw a video today of a Caucasian lady who made a video on anti-black racism in China that is growing recently because of this coronavirus. And I also saw a video of so many Africans that were evicted from their apartment, from their hotels. Their passport and their document were confiscated. Some of them were even deported. Then I said, this is an interesting time because I wanted to share the statistics with you. I and my group, a Pan-Africanist group, last year, late 2019, we conducted a research because I was pricked with curiosity to make this research because I stumbled upon a Chinese farm in Khartoum, for example, Khartoum in South Sudan. A Chinese man occupying thousands of hectares of land in Khartoum and is farming vegetable and exporting it back to China. As I'm talking to you, Google, just type it now, the Chinese farm in Khartoum. You'll see it. Just Google it. So before I do that, let me just give you a few statistics, okay? Let me just explain to you why the Chinese people are trooping in Africa and occupying land right now. Understand reality and what is happening. The total global superficie right now as it is, the world in general is just 500 million kilometers square as it is. That's what we're occupying. And Africa is 30 million. Africa as a continent in general, and with a population of 1.250 billion people in Africa. Then the US, for example, is 9 million square kilometers. Canada too is 9 million. China is 9 million. India with almost 353 billion people have at least superficie of 3 million square kilometers. So as you can see, Africa is even large. Africa as this is even larger than Russia itself. Russia has 17 million kilometers square, okay, in superficie. So think about all these things. Now look at all the land apportioned to different parts of the world. Africa alone has 60% of the world most arable land. I'm telling you that the total superficie is 500 million. And Africa has 60% of the world most arable land. Now, what is the Chinese agenda? The Chinese agenda is that they are going to send millions of their people. As I'm speaking to you right now, they have occupied hundreds of land, thousands of hectares of land in Africa. There are actually there were before this outbreak of coronavirus, 40,000 Chinese in Nigeria working for the Dangote farm. Most of them don't even go back to their country. In South Africa, for example, there are 30,000 permanent resident Chinese that are there, permanently resident there. Go to Namibia, you see them. Go to Tanzania, you see them. Go to Kenya, you see them in hundreds. You see them in mining, illegally killing animals and taking them back to China. So what is the Chinese agenda? The agenda is that their population is growing and they are going to send in more millions of their people in Africa to occupy land, dominate Africa both economically, okay? While our people are busy doing their politics, China is taking over our land. This thing, I'm very concerned about this because no African can even occupy an apartment, buy or sell an apartment. You don't even have permanent residence in China. Talk more of getting land. So why are Chinese people buying land in Africa? Why? We spoke with the entire Pan-African research team, and we're going to publish the list of all the hectares, thousands of hectares of land that Chinese people are occupying all over Africa. As I'm talking to you right now, one of our contacts is sending information about the Chinese poultry farm in Ogun State in Nigeria. Okay, another one again is occupying at least 58,000 hectares of land in Namibia. They are farming there, sending it back to China, sending it back to feed their people. But an African cannot even occupy a single, just ordinary apartment in China. We cannot even occupy. So what is the purpose of doing this video? We want to share this as far as we can to sensitize our people. And we're going to publicize all these things. We're going to publish all the land, hectares of land that they're occupying. We're going to mount pressure on the AU and all the African leaders through our activism. We'll mount pressure on them to start watching closely these Chinese people. They are not bringing anything. They are only profiting from Africa. And then they abuse our people. You can see some of them open restaurants, they abuse our people. You can see how they are abusing us in their own land. But we welcome them as royalties in Africa. So this thing of, anti-black racism must stop. If we are not welcoming their land, then they should not be welcome in Africa. Everything, respect, we must respect each other. This is the objective of this video. So I'm counting on you to share this video far and wide. We're going to get relevant authority. We are already organizing our members all over. We're going to publicize all the thousands of hectares of land they are occupying in Africa and pressure every single government. They must check them. And right now, I'm calling upon the governor of Ogun State. That Chinese poultry farm, you must check these people. You have to check them. They are now farming poultry. They are even farming sorghums. I saw it. Some of them are even farming watermelon and sending it back to China. Some of them even have fish ponds there. But in our own land, we welcome them as residents, but they hate us in their own land. Why is that?
All right, my great and wonderful people. I believe say all of una don't watch that video. I beg one thing when I want to continue to beg una say make una begin to share this video so that it will get to every of our people. So we will give them the proper information, because I already talk and say I believe on one thing, say information na power. Although we never really do something, I believe say yes, the more we become aware of all these things, the more we energize ourselves to do the right thing. All right, I just want to make una sit down, watch this video of a group of Chinese, how they drive around for South Africa with freedom and everything, with driving license, without they know they understand anything language for South Africa. How is it possible? Ask yourself as you watch this video.
No, together.
We're together. The test and the driving that you never did. Okay, that's fine.
What are you gonna do? Okay, wait. What are you gonna do now?
Ma'am, we need to take this vehicle in and we need to check all these people's documentation if they're legal in South Africa.
Yeah. So, and we are civil guys.
Huh? Meneer, do you still have his license?
No.
Yeah. Okay, what's gonna happen now, ma'am? You say the car's on your name. Okay, we need to verify your documentation if you're all legal in South Africa. So we're going to take you to SAPS here at Langlaagte, where we're going to verify everything. Okay, you need to phone people to bring your documentation to show to us and prove to us that you're legally in South Africa. Which one? What?
Which document?
How did you come to South Africa? These people. Has he got a passport?
He got ID.
Where did he get the ID from?
I don't know.
You don't know? But he's got a South African ID.
It's getting worse, guys.
Where did you get the ID? You know, I don't understand one thing. These people can't speak English and they can't speak any... Whoa. They can't speak English. They can't speak any of our other languages, but they're in possession of a driver's license of our country. They're in possession of documents. How did they apply for these things?
The Chinese make. They paid money.
The Chinese made it.
Yeah.
Huh? Where did they make it? Do you have a friend that... When did this gentleman came to South Africa? Ask him.
All right, my people. So now something when it be say, what will happen for the Western world when it happen for Africa, now it be this one. This one are just small one. You they see this one now. You they hear this one for South Africa, now so it still be for Nigeria. A bunch of Chinese when it be say that they Nigeria, where they not sabi speak single English, not be even our own native dialect, but they get everything when it take to live well for our country. So you see this very one, I say they know they speak language. They ask how they come in contact with the South Africa passport and even every other ID. They said they don't know, which is to say, it get most of them when they courts or they duplicate all these things illegally. I don't know whether someone they understand exactly what they talk. Yes, they live where they drive around, whereas they know as in how they even come. The police they ask them how not they come the country, documents they, but when I get the South Africa on the driving license, the passport, every other ID when I get, but single communication they not fit communicate. All this one black no will fit trying for white man country. So now for us to small they expose these people, make the world, we the Africa continent, they know how or the position when these people they for our land. All right, I'll still leave una and make una watch this video. I will come back for the conclusion.
How much of this do you think it's coronavirus and, you know, whatever's going on with U.S. and China? How much of this do you think is China saying, you know what, screw you, U.S. You're playing this hardball with me. I'm going to come and bully you in a whole different way that you won't even pay attention to it. How much credibility do you give to that? 5%? 1%?
I'm not going to answer that question, but I am going to answer the question in a different way. Because I'm Christian at heart and I like to think that nobody would want to kill people. I will say this much, and if you're listening, write it down. In late November, word had already gotten off of the mainland that there was a virus in Wuhan. On January the 15th, the U.S. trade bill was signed, phase 1. December the 15th. I had a whole month off, December the 15th. 6 weeks later, the trade truce was signed with an out clause, a very clever out clause that the Chinese made sure was in there that said if there was any kind of act of God, pandemic, then they didn't have to make good on what they had committed to buy from the United States. Within days, they announced the first coronavirus. So, did the Chinese know damn well that this thing was running around the world for 6 weeks before they shut down Wuhan? Yes, they did. Is that criminal? Yes, it is. Does it deserve to go in front of a world tribunal? Yes, it does. Because we know that it was the unfettered travel that made this thing a global phenomenon that was impossible to contain. 6 weeks they knew, but they wanted that out clause. And then they underreported what happened in Wuhan, which a toddler could tell you based on what happened in Italy, based on what's happened in Germany and in France and now in the UK with Boris Johnson in the ICU. There's no way in a city the size of New York, 11 million people, that there were so few cases. It's impossible with similar density to New York. So the World Health Organization should be held accountable for not holding China accountable to providing good, valid data so that the rest of the world could prepare for fewer people to die. And that's what you're talking about. To me, these are equivalents to acts of war on the part of China. And then, equally, whether you're talking about NPR or Fox News, most major media outlets on both sides of the aisle came out and reassured the United States that it was just the flu. Within 24 hours of South Korea's first case being reported, the United States' first case was reported. And what we did was dither. We sat on it for 6 weeks and tried to reassure the public that nothing was happening. Somebody should be held accountable for that, because somebody in the United States intelligence community has to have known what was truly going on in Wuhan. We don't have a CIA for nothing. And yet we told Americans for 6 weeks, while South Korea was testing everybody and shutting the country down, that it was just going to be the flu. So there are a lot of responsible bodies right now that have taken us to the point where we're at, inside the country and in China. And they need to be held accountable. So you don't even have to get on the discussion as to whether or not this was a manufactured virus and set upon the world. You don't even have to go that far. If we find that in future investigations, then that needs to be prosecuted. But if we just ascertain what is known and a known hushed up secret that the Chinese knew for 6 weeks about the virus before saying anything on the global stage, to get a trade deal signed? Somebody needs to look into that, because countless lives have been lost as a result.
All right, my people, I believe this one I don't bring us to the end of this program because I don't want to make this really long too much, although we will continue the rest of the evidence for the next broadcast. And I want beg una say, make una beg help us share this message, because I believe on one thing, say the whole world they on this very investigation to make sure say they really know exactly where China stand. Now only us when it be Africa, now we still the ignorant of the appearance of Chinese for Africa and their own mission. So I beg, I will end this broadcast here now. I will see you again when I see you. Remember, we love you all. Bye bye.